Chair Gall, you may begin.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Welcome to the Monday, October 24th, 2022 City of Burlingame Planning Commission meeting. For all in attendance today, please note that the Planning Commission meeting is being held using the Zoom webinar format. So you will see the planning commissioners and staff or panelists. Please note that there are several ways to submit comments during this meeting. You may raise your hand in Zoom by clicking on the raise hand button located at the bottom of your screen. Members of the public who are participating in the Zoom webinar by phone can dial *9 to raise a hand. You may also send your comments by email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Staff will be monitoring emails submitted during the meeting, which will be read at the appropriate time. The length of the emailed comment should be commensurate with the 3 minutes customarily allowed for verbal comments. If you are an applicant or an applicant's representative, I will ask you to raise your hand when your agenda item is up for discussion so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. We ask that you also turn on your video at that time so we can have more clear communication, simulating the experience we would have if we were meeting in person. This meeting is being streamed live on YouTube and will be uploaded to the city's website after the meeting. Agenda item number 2 is roll call. The record should note that 4 members of our commission are present this evening: Chair Gall, Vice Chair Pfaff, Commissioner Lowenthal, and Commissioner Horan. Commissioners Say, Camarado, and Schmidt are absent. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of the minutes. We have meeting minutes to review and approve this evening from the Monday, September 26th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting. Are there any comments, changes, or discussion regarding the minutes? No. Then do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Horan, second by Commissioner Vice Chair Pfaff. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Horan,
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff,
Aye.
Chair Gall.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0-0-3. We'll move on to agenda item number 4, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda, or do we have any recusals?
There are no changes from staff.
And we have no recusals from the commissioners? Okay. Then we'll move to agenda item number 5, of public comments, non-agenda. Members of the public may speak about any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for a future Planning Commission agenda may do so during the public comment period. The Ralph Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits the Planning Commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please speak clearly into the microphone. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on any item that is not on our agenda?
Chair Gall, I don't see any hands raised, and there are no public comment emails.
Okay, then seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Agenda item number 6, we have study items. Where am I? Sorry. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, there are no study items. Okay, that makes that easy. Then we're going to move on to the consent calendar, of which we have no items. So we'll go to regular action. Okay, agenda item 8A, 720 Newhall Road. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? I'd like to note that I spoke on the phone with the property owner applicant. Okay, let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, this is an application for design review and special permit for first-story plate height for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling and new detached garage at 720 Newhall Road, zoned R1. With this application, the floor area would increase to 4,128 square feet, where that is also the maximum allowed. The number of bedrooms in the main dwelling would increase from 4 to 5. The office qualifies as a potential bedroom. 3 parking spaces, 2 of which must be covered, are required on site. 2 covered spaces are provided in the new detached garage, and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. All other zoning regulations have been met. The existing first floor contains a 9-foot plate height. The applicant is requesting a special permit for a 10-foot 9-inch plate height on the first floor at the rear of the house, where a maximum of 9 feet is allowed without a special permit. At the Planning Commission Design Review Study meeting on September 12th, the Commission had several suggestions regarding this project. The applicant submitted a response letter dated September 27th and October 12th, and revised plans date stamped September 29th to address your comments. Suggested findings are found on pages 3 and 4 of the staff report. The applicant is available, but first, do you have any questions for staff?
Thank you, Ruben. Are there any questions of staff? No? Okay. Then I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
My name's John Olin. This is Kim, my wife. And as we pointed out last time, Kim grew up in the house there on Newhall, and our daughter and son-in-law are living here now. And the remodel is for them to enjoy increasing the size of the house and not modernizing, just bringing it up to a little better standard on the outside.
Okay. Carlos, I see that you're in. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just really quickly, the adjustments we made since the last meeting were that we went away from the metal roof and changed it to a comp shingle for several of the commissioner's suggestion. And we also reduced the front window on the second floor by a total of 18 inches in width, 6 inches for each window. And those were the major comments we had.
Great, thank you.
We've addressed them.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for the applicant? Vice Chair Pfaff?
Yeah, sorry, looking there.
There you go.
For my hand. Yeah, because I couldn't see it, I noticed the window and I noticed the change on the window and the roof, but there's a comment and a response you have about the landscaping on the north side, and I could not, maybe I'm not seeing it, but I couldn't notice a lot, substantial landscaping is in the way of, I don't know, a hedge or something that was more of a continuous line. I see 1 or 2 trees, but I see a big kind of a gap. And I was wondering, did you have something planned in there on the north side that might help mitigate some issues?
It's
Should I speak to
unresolved. Yeah.
I can speak to that we definitely want to plant a hedge, but we want to make sure that the neighbor to the north is happy with whatever we plant. So that's why we didn't want to put anything on the plan. We think hopefully we can come to an agreement. And we're definitely going to build the fence as high as allowed in Burlingame, which apparently is 6 foot with a 1 foot panel, which we have in the rear of the property. We plan to continue that to the front of the property and then plant whatever hedging is acceptable to the neighbor.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else have questions for the applicant? No, then do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Yes, we have one hand raised from Jen Hugavine, so we'll bring her in. And there are no public comment emails submitted.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I can't see myself as well. There's something blocking me, but hopefully you guys can all see me. Thank you so much, John and Kim, for agreeing to put some kind of hedge in that area. Also, on the plans, we can't see where the windows are on the part of the rear addition that's going to be facing the north side. We just want to continue to have the same level of privacy that we have. And we could see that there are no windows facing the north on the side where the roof is sloped down, but there's a rear extension. And we just wanted to see what type of windows that are facing the north, what are they going to consist of? Are they going to be tinted? Are they going to be frosted? What is the size? Thank you. And thank you so much, Vice Chair Pfaff, for asking about hedges and fence line. And thank you, John, for addressing that. We would love to have a line of hedges, and we're not super particular, but something that offers privacy for both would be great.
Okay. Carlos, would you like an opportunity to respond to the neighbor's question?
Sure. So we have 2 dormers on the second floor facing the north side. And they have each a group of 2 foot by 4 foot windows in 3s. And then there are 2 windows out of the bathroom. Those will be frosted. And at the rear, there are 2 small windows facing back on that side of the property, out of a bedroom as well. Those would be, let me see, let me measure these. Second, those are 3 foot by 2 foot windows facing the back. Only one of them is really close.
Okay, is there a chance that those windows could be frosted?
John?
No, I've never seen a frosted bedroom window, so I wouldn't think we agreed that the bathroom window could be frosted, but I think with a frosted window, the people in the bedroom can't look out either. And I wouldn't imagine a child in the bedroom not being able to see out the window. So no, I don't think we're at all interested in frosting any bedroom windows.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Planning Commissioner Huron, were those already approved by the city?
Nothing's been approved yet. That's what the hearing is about tonight.
Yeah, we want to minimize any kind of windows looking into our yard
Okay.
that are already there. Thank you, just for listening to us.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other public comments or any other members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
There are none.
No. Okay. Then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any comments? I'll start. Yeah, I think that this project has evolved really nicely. I think it's a really nice looking house. And I think that the applicant and the property owner have worked hard to mitigate the neighbors' concerns. I know that privacy is always a consideration, but I think the proper hedge planted on the fence line can block out any view from window to window or window to yard. So I would think that that maybe could come back as an FYI with approval of this tonight. So I'd like to see this move forward, but I'll wait to hear from other commissioners. Commissioner Haran, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, just to agree with you, I think they've addressed the concerns and the suggestions that we had at the last meeting. So I think the project looks like it's ready to go.
Okay. Then I would make a motion to approve the project with the changes, with the conditions as stated in the staff report, with the item to come back with an FYI as to the type of hedge to be planted on the fence line.
And Chair Gall, that motion would include the special permit as well.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I see 2 hands up. I don't know if those were for part of the motion.
I was just going to second it, but
Okay.
maybe, okay.
Okay, I have a second by, so I have a motion by Chair Gall, second by Vice Chair Pfaff. Is there any discussion of the motion? No, then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff,
Aye.
Chair Gall.
Aye. The motion passes 4-0-0-3. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations and good luck with your project. We'll move on to agenda item 8B, 1317 Paloma. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be, so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? No, then let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, this is an application for design review and special permit for second story plate height for a new 2-story single unit dwelling and detached garage. The total proposed floor area would be 3,315 square feet, where 3,419 square feet is the maximum allowed. The applicant is requesting a special permit for an 8-foot 6-inch plate height on the second floor, where 8 feet is allowed without a special permit. The previous request for a special permit for a 9-foot 6-inch plate height on the first floor on the main dwelling and a minor use permit for a 9-foot 7-inch plate height on the detached garage have been eliminated since the study meeting. There would be a total of 4 bedrooms in the proposed dwelling. 2 parking spaces, one of which must be covered, are required on site. The proposed detached garage provides 2 covered parking spaces and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. All other zoning regulations have been met. At the Planning Commission Design Review Study meeting on September 12th, the Commission had several suggestions regarding this project. The applicant submitted a response letter dated October 14th and revised plans dated October 13th to address your comments. Suggested findings are found on pages 3 and 4 of your staff report. The applicant is available to discuss the project, but first, I'd be happy to take questions of staff.
Thank you, Ruben. Are there any questions of staff? No. Okay, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Hi, Commissioners. Thanks for having us here. I'm the applicant. Based on the previous comments that we have, we reduced the plate height for the first floor to 8.6 and from 9.6 to 9, and the garage from 9.6 to 9 as well. We changed some window sizes to have a better scale so it can present better harmony. And also we added 2 windows in the first floor for the bedroom. We removed the false chimney that we had and just kept the feature wall. So we have a stone wall on the side here. We increased the porch sizes from 3.6 to 4.10. And regarding the sidings, we decided to have these horizontal and vertical sidings because we had several projects like this design and people like this, and also my clients like this design as well. And we asked for 9 feet plate height for second floor because the client wants this, and he's 6'4". My client is 6 feet and 4 inches tall, so he likes this. And also the other changes that we provided some rendering to better understanding of our project. So please let me know if you have any question or concern so I can address them.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yes, thank you very much. Just to clarify, your client still is asking for the 9 feet on the second floor. Is that what? Okay, and not the garage, but on the second floor. Okay.
The second floor, right?
Okay, and then the second question I have is, and I'm really sorry because I just don't know how chimneys are put together, and I know there were comments on this before. Is it absolutely necessary to put that chase, I don't know what the word is, that the construction where you have the false chimney, but it's the terminus is ends at the plate of the first floor. Is that, do you have to have that at all?
We have a fireplace. If we have a fireplace behind this stone wall, so it's gonna break the wall. You know, I think that when you use a different texture, it presents better instead of you have a pale siding wall. That's why we use this. And the reason that we removed the chimney was because we have it's gonna block windows on the second floor, the chimney. That's why we removed that.
And you cannot move the, I understand that, but you cannot shift the window left or right.
Unfortunately, no, we cannot do that. But we can also remove the stone and use the same siding at the first floor if it's address your concern. But
well, I was just curious if you're saying there needs to be some kind of a chase contraption. The stone is just a veneer anyway, right? So
yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you
So
very much.
lightweight stone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Pfaff, if I can just provide a clarification, I believe you might have asked if it's a 9-foot plate height on the second floor. The plans do show an 8-foot 6-inch plate height on the second floor, where 8 feet is allowed without a special permit. So it's 9 feet on the first floor, 8-foot 6-inch on the second floor.
Okay.
Not 9 feet on the second floor.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, if I could interject or continue that conversation about the fireplace and chimney, I'm the one that typically brings that up, and I think I brought it up last time. To me, the chimney looks like it's an afterthought, or it fell over in an earthquake because it doesn't penetrate the roof. The chimney would not necessarily have to, it's a zero clearance fireplace, right? So you don't have to have, you're not going to be wood burning, so you don't have to have that height. You could simply go a foot, 18 inches, maybe even 2 feet above the roof line with the same stone, follow it through so it looks like a chimney that goes up.
Yeah, exactly.
The zero clearance is going to come out the back, or you can run it out the top. It doesn't have, I think it only has to be a foot away from the window. So you could do it, and I would prefer to see that too. It looks, it completes the chimney. I like the look of the stone because it differentiates it from the siding, and it says, hey, this is a fireplace, not a water heater closet, you know? So I'm with Vice Chair Pfaff. I think that that would look better with the chimney poked through the roofing, you know, penetrating the second or the first floor roof, and maybe just come up to the bottom edge of the window. It wouldn't block anything.
Yes, it's blocked the windows. Yeah.
It wouldn't block the windows. It doesn't have to go up past the windows.
Oh, okay. I see.
You know, it could just go up 2 feet because it's not a wood burning fireplace.
No, it's not.
So you don't have to clear anything around it by the 10-foot rule or whatever. I had a couple other questions. What is your siding? I see your siding is wood siding. What size is that? You don't have that indicated, it just says wood siding. Is that like a 1x6 or a 1x8?
These are 8.
1x8. Okay.
Yes, I indicate them on the elevations.
Yeah, I just saw wood siding on this one. And what about the window trim? What size are those? Do you have that indicated somewhere?
Yes, I have. Let me find it. So the bottom, the seal for the trim that placed on the seal is gonna be 5 inches and additional 2 inches. So it's gonna be 7 inches total. And the side trim, it's gonna be 4.5 inches.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions of the applicant? I don't see any hands. So do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Yes, we have one, Miranda, so we'll bring her in. Sometimes there's a delay, so. Looks like Miranda lowered her hand. Miranda, can you raise your hand again if you wish to speak? She's not raising her hand. Let me just check email. There are no public comment emails submitted.
Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments? Vice Chair Pfaff.
Well, first, the good news. I really appreciate my fellow commissioner. I can't remember. I think it was Haran bringing up the porch issue, because that happens a lot. They're like almost a false porch, and I really do. It's still not a huge porch, but I really appreciate you adding the that more depth, and however you got it. It's definitely improved. And I appreciate the comments offered by Chair Gall, definitely. And the chimney looks like it wasn't an earthquake. It reminds me of, in my house, 1989. So maybe I have post-traumatic stress or something. But you know, I'm still having a little trouble here on me personally, on the request for the height. I understand your client is tall, but what I'm seeing is the use of your verticals that makes something look tall anyway. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm kind of having trouble with that. If anything, I feel like maybe the elements should have been like reversed. I don't know, that the verticals on the bottom and the horizontals on the top, but I don't know. I'm not sure it sets a real good precedent, because I don't know. So those are my comments. I'm still not quite sure of the height variance, but thank you for other things you've done.
Thank you. And Commissioner Haran.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot of the comments from last meeting were incorporated. I think lowering the plate height on the first floor helps in the overall scale of the property. So, and I think your comments on just poking that chimney through the roof would make it look better. So based on that change, I would be okay moving forward with this.
Okay, yeah, I think that the project is approvable in its state. Ruben, are we typically 8'6" on the second floor, or typically 8 feet on the second floor?
We have seen 9 foot on the first floor, 8'6" on the second floor. That's, you know, or 9'6" and 8'6". We've seen that approved in the past. I also did want to point out, you know, if you're heading in the direction of an FYI, for example, for the chimney, just wanted to let you know that that is something that staff can look at just in the building permit review process. So in order to save time or effort, rather than bring it back for you, something like that, staff can certainly take a look at. And, you know, if it's way off, then, you know, we can certainly bring that back as an FYI. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, staff can check for those things.
Okay.
Just something for you to consider.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are the only comments. Would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the project as submitted with the height variances, the plate height variances, and with the commitment to bring an FYI back to the planning department regarding redesigning the chimney.
Okay, I'll second that motion. So we have a motion by Commissioner Haran, second by Chair Gall. Any discussion on the motion?
Chair Gall, I just wanted to confirm for I know Commissioner Haran, I think, said variances. We are considering the special permit for the second story plate height. So just to confirm.
Yeah, sorry about that. The special permit for the 2 plate height.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm guessing the second incorporates that as well.
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. Then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Haran?
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff?
Aye.
Chair Gall?
Aye. The motion passes 4-0-0-3. And An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes noticing costs. So we will move on to agenda item 9C. 1549 Burlingame Avenue. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Are any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project?
Yeah, Chair Gall, I had a phone conversation with the applicant's relative.
Thank you. Okay, then let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Ruben.
First time ever, I think. This is an application for design review for removal of more than 50% of exterior walls, which is considered to be substantial construction of an existing two-story single-unit dwelling. Request for side setback variances, floor area ratio variance, and special permit for declining height envelope. This project was initially submitted as an application for an accessory dwelling unit, or an ADU, and was approved in December of 2021. The original proposal included an interior remodel, conversion of existing living space into a junior accessory dwelling unit, a new detached garage, and a new detached ADU. The detached ADU was later eliminated from the project. The originally approved project included demolishing less than 50% of the existing exterior walls of the house. The scope of work did not require an application for design review at that time, so the project was approved by staff with or via a building permit. While under construction, the Planning Division was notified that all of the existing exterior walls on the ground floor had been completely removed. A stop work order was issued by the Building Division on October 3rd. The second floor framing has been retained by elevating the second floor using wood blocks. Substantial construction is defined as removal or reconstruction of 50% or more of the exterior walls of a building, and that triggers design review. Letters were submitted by the designer, the contractor, and property owners, providing a more detailed explanation of why the existing walls were removed. These letters are attached to the staff report for reference. Planning staff would note that the design and square footage of the house is consistent with the plans approved with the building permit. With this application tonight, there are no changes proposed to the design or envelope of what was approved under the building permit. The subject property is a corner lot that contained an existing two-story single-unit dwelling with an attached garage, and that totaled 3,736 square feet. The applicant is proposing to demolish and rebuild the existing first floor within the same footprint and a new detached garage. So the house will no longer contain an attached garage. The existing second floor is to remain and consist of an interior remodel and replacement of all exterior materials, including the siding, windows, architectural trim and features, and the roofing. The project proposes a total floor area of 4,230 square feet, where 4,010 square feet is the maximum allowed. Staff would note that there is now an increase in floor area because with the original application, the JADU was exempt from floor area because it was considered a conversion of existing space. But now that the project is considered a new house, the JADU is no longer exempt from floor area, and therefore that adds to the floor area that is being proposed. There are a total of 5 bedrooms proposed in the house. The office on the first floor is counted as a bedroom. 3 parking spaces, 2 of which must be covered, are required. The new detached 2-car garage provides 2 covered spaces, and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. Now, because the proposed project is considered to be substantial construction or a new house, any standards that are existing non-conforming require variances and a special permit to retain those. And they include interior and exterior side setback variances for both the first and second floors, a floor area ratio variance, and a special permit for declining height envelope along the interior side of the house. Suggested findings are found on pages 4 and 5 of the staff report. The applicant is available to discuss the project, but first I can take questions of staff if you have any. Oh, you're still on mute.
Moving around on me. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of staff? No, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project? Okay. Let's see, James and Dario. Either of you could go ahead if you'd like.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Or can
there
you
you
hear
are.
James?
Looks like James is still trying to figure out either his audio or video. James, can you hear us? Dario, perhaps you can start while James is logging in.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. Thanks everybody for the time. I know it's a commitment to the city, so thanks very much. I just wanted to mention a couple things. The first is I'm a Peninsula native, and so my wife and I have always wanted to raise our family in Burlingame and send them to the great public school system there, and that's really why we looked for a house in this area. And that's where we found 1549 Burlingame. And the house hadn't been updated since the 30s, but it came with these, when we bought it earlier this year, it came with these beautiful plans that had been prepared by James. We knew it was, oh, there you are. I could stop and I'll let him go.
Yes, I'm sorry, I got kicked.
No worries.
Well, thank you, Ruben. I think he made our presentation already, actually. We just wanted to continue to build this house and fix all the problem with the termite. And again, we're not adding any more square footage. The current owner obviously like the setting of the home, and if we have to eliminate all the variances and declining height envelope, the entire building will have to move back probably 40, 50 feet right in the center of the lot because the odd shape or pie shape of this properties. Again, if we don't have the problem with the termite and dry rot, we won't even come in front of you guys for these variances and special permit. I don't know if you have anything to add. We just hope the planning commission understands this very different project that we're proposing tonight is very, very different. And if we had to start over and know about all this, I'm sure we just come in with a nice similar home, but that's not the case. Would like to take any question you may have.
Vice Chair Fox.
Yes, thank you. Hi, James. So I'm just curious, I see the total height of the building remains the same as it originally was, but could you just tell me the plate height of the second story?
Well, the plate height of first and second story actually stays the same.
Right.
And originally, what we proposed is to lower the finished floor at first floors to increase the ceiling height, and that's what we did. So again, to answer your question, the plate height and the overall height stays the same.
But I was just curious because it looks, the second floor, it's no longer a split level home. I mean, I think that's what it was before, if I'm not wrong.
No, it wasn't ever split level. The entrance was kind of it was kind of interesting that it goes up to the second floor to enter the house, where all the living spaces and kitchen, dining are on the second floor.
Okay, all right, so.
So we moved the entrance to the house from second floor to first floor.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, and so then the second question I have is, I could not find, and maybe you didn't need to do this originally because it was not considered a major remodel, but I couldn't locate a planting plan. Is there a planting plan in your set?
No, again, the original application wasn't design review, so the landscaping wasn't required. So we didn't have a planning plan.
Okay. Okay, those were my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Pfaff, the project does go through the Parks Division review to ensure that the appropriate number of trees are on site. So that would have been checked through the building permit process and will be checked on the final inspection.
The street trees, but not the, right?
No, I'm referring to the streets, to the trees on private property. We will make sure that there's enough trees on private property. Existing trees may count towards meeting that requirement, but if any new trees are required on the private property side, that'll have to be done before the final inspection takes place.
So that would get kicked back to them, but we don't get to see it.
That's correct. It would have been reviewed as part of the building permit process already.
Even, but you're saying even in this condition, not originally when it first went through? Like this is now the second round because they are considered now a new, almost like a new construction. So are you saying Bob has seen this one?
This one, there's no change between this one and the building permit approval. The only reason it's coming before you because they removed more than 50% of the exterior walls, which triggers design review. That's really the only reason it's before you this evening.
Right.
But in terms of the number of trees required on site, that would have been reviewed as part of the building permit process already.
Okay.
So if any new, for example, if they had 2 trees on their property and they were required to have 3, we'll make sure that additional tree is planted before the final inspection takes place.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? I have a question. So obviously the downstairs, I was in this house maybe 10, 15 years ago when the Sisters of Mercy owned it. It was unimproved downstairs from what I remember. Is that the condition that you guys got it in also?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously when you bought it, there was a termite report.
No. What the current owner wasn't my client when I first submitted the application. There wasn't a termite report available at that time. The existing ceiling height at downstairs first floor was 8'4", but it was because all the plumbing and all the heating dust on the day that sort of trigger why we want to lower the first floor to gain higher ceiling. But based on our observation at that time, all the stuff looks fine, but again, we didn't know there were major termite and dry rot issues.
Okay.
But that's to say, Michael, if we find out during construction and have we gone back to the planning and building and requesting rebuilding it, we probably will end up still here in front of you for design review.
Right.
So this is not try to hide from the city, or we try to increase the floor area or footprint or or anything. We just try to rebuild the house.
Right. No, I got you. It's just, when they come back to us like this, I understand the angle or the approach to the project. I don't think you're trying to get around anything, but you had a side setback that was too close. And so if you keep the wall, that's the rules and you get to keep it there, but with removing it, then you're required to get a variance. So I'm kind of looking at it as if it was a new build or if it was a brand new house.
Yeah.
It's so far enough along. I don't,
Now, I see your point, but again, it is not completely rebuilt.
Yeah.
The second floor is still up there, supporting
Right.
your beings, and we just try to fix them.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
I'm not seeing any hands raised, and we have no public comment emails.
Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments on this? Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, thank you. It's a really nice project. The house is lovely and very charming, kind of a forefront to the neighborhood when you drive up. Most of these houses would be torn down. So it's very nice and refreshing to see a house rehabbed and brought back to life without really doing much to the exterior. I have no problem with the variances and the special permits, considering this house was built almost 100 years ago. And our only option to fix these things is to tear the thing down. And I think we see pretty universally that most people in Burlingame like to keep these old houses, and it's kind of sad when you see the old ones come down. So I'm very much in favor of this. I think it's very it's very expensive and not convenient to stop a project at all, as I'm sure we all know. And so I would love to get this project back going.
Okay, Commissioner Haran.
Yeah, basically agree with Commissioner Lowenthal. I think the project is a good looking project. I think it was clever the way they lowered the ground floor to create more ceiling space. And because the envelope is unchanged from the existing, it's kind of a technicality that they ran into these issues during construction. So I'm supportive of this. It's
you. I'm generally in support of the project, although I kind of don't like the way the whole thing evolved. I just don't like seeing things come back, asking for things after they're, this far into it. So I'm okay with the project in general. One thing I would ask is that the first floor plate height be lowered to 9 feet like we typically do, just to comply, with our standards of what we typically approve. I don't want to start setting precedents for higher plate heights, because if this had come to us initially, this would be considered a new build, new house. So I think it should conform to those guidelines that we typically have for a new house. So I would like to see the first floor plate height lowered to 9 feet. Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything everyone said, but I have to say I agree with Chair Gall about being consistent there and with that first floor plate height. I'm sorry I asked that because I didn't. And now I see I can see what it was before. I didn't need to ask that. So yeah, I agree with Chair Gall. It still disturbs me that I don't have a landscape plan. I feel like this is all backward, and so I don't know, should I trust everybody? If they're going to do a landscape plan, then it makes its way to Bob, and not just trees, but everything else around it. It's not like there's a ton of landscaping there now, but I think it would really, it's a nice home, a nice job of redesigning, and working with what was there, at least initially. And I'd just really like to see more green, to have it set in better than it does now. So I don't know how to properly do that, maybe as part of a motion. So.
Could that come as an FYI, Ruben? Or how, for landscape?
Are you referring to the landscape plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so two things. One is on the plate height that's something that you could, if the rest of the commission agrees, you could amend the condition that the project be built with a 9-foot plate height on the first floor. And no FYI is required for that. However, if you're leaning towards requiring an FYI to see the landscape plan, that's certainly something you consider, or you can just have staff ensure that a full landscape plan is submitted as part of the project prior to the final inspection on the project. If you would like to see the landscape plan, that's certainly something you can also do as an FYI. But staff is ready to review all these items. If you don't want to spend time reviewing it at the planning commission level, it's up to you.
Well, I trust if it's actually written in black and white, and I'm not imagining that it just goes through these routes and that it just didn't go through without having been looked at because of the curious circumstance. I'm fine with, I trust our staff. I just want it written down. So as part of the motion, I'm thinking that anyway.
Okay. Commissioner Haran, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks. I fully understand your perspective on setting precedent. I just see this a bit different. I see it as an existing structure. So, typically I would view plate height as a concern when the overall house gets high. This is an existing house, then they're not changing the exterior dimensions at all. I think it's a clever trick to just lower the floor to get that extra space. So, yeah, I'm okay with the plate height, just given that, again, if they didn't have termites, we would have never seen it, and it probably would have looked great and would be fine. So just a different point of view.
Yeah, I see your point, but as the applicant stated, the original ceiling height in that area was 8'4", mainly because of all the mechanical equipment. I understand that too, but that's all being redone and recessed into the floor space. So they're gaining more than a foot in ceiling height if we go to 9'6". With all the walls removed, I don't see where it's any issue for them to bring it to 9 feet, set the house back down on it. So that's where I'm coming from.
Chair Call, not that you need to, but it is within your discretion to go back to the applicant, because I have seen that they have raised their hand if you wanted to reopen the public hearing. That is within your discretion, and it may solve some of the issues.
Yeah, I'll reopen the public hearing if the applicant would like to add something.
Yeah, hi. I just want to mention a couple of things about, first of all, about the landscaping. There are rows of existing street tree along Occidental, and because of the building siting of on this property, there's really not much landscaping in front of the building or the side. So for all the future landscaping, tree planting, it will be within the backyard. We already went through a couple revision with the park department, requesting number of trees that need to be planted and all that. So I'm hoping that we won't come back for FYI for landscaping. Secondly, I honestly disagree with Commissioner Chair Galt about the ceiling height, because we're only talking about 60 inches, and it really is not impacting the exterior or the look of the house. We even consulted a drainage engineer regarding the drainage issue, because we want to make sure the finished floors is still higher than the sidewalk and also the curve and all that, so the water doesn't come back and trap in a house. But anyway, and that's just my 2 cents, and I appreciate your comments, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any further discussion? Okay. Well, I will make a motion to approve the project with the conditions as stated in the staff report, with a change to the first floor plate height to 9 feet, And I don't think we need to do anything with the development of the landscape plan unless Vice Chair Pfaff would like to add something to my motion.
No, well, I'm not thrilled, but I mean, I just don't see much here in the backyard either, but because it wasn't considered a new project. That's when this goes this route, it's like, it's just really awkward, but it's okay. I'll go with, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. I'll go with whatever the majority wants to go. That's the motion. I can second it. That's fine.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, I guess I'm torn here. I'm on kind of the side of the fence of Commissioner Haran. I don't see the issue here with the plate height. So I guess my question is, but I'd rather see the project go forward. I don't know if it's something we ask the applicant again, like, is this detrimental to your project? Will you be able to do a 9-foot plate height without, some unforeseen major construction cost or issue with the design? If they're okay with it, then I'm fine with it.
Well, we already had the applicant back in once, so
I know, and that's where I'm torn with it.
If I could offer just one piece of clarification too, that with this project, the plate line is the same. They're just digging further into the ground, so they're not necessarily coming up out of the ground and raising the mass and bulk of the house. The plate line is the same. They're just going down 6 inches further into the ground. So that's just something to consider. I just want to make sure you all understood that.
But that might be the reason why, to me, the second floor looks so tall. So, anyway.
But I guess, Vice Chair Pfaff, the exterior is exactly the way it's been for the last 90 years. That's why I'm so supportive of just leaving it alone. So the look of the exterior is unchanged since 1930. Even the plate, the appearance of the plate to the outside is unchanged. It's really clever, I think, the way they've lowered it on the inside, but not the outside.
I think that's really the intent of the code as it is you create these plate height restrictions so that the houses don't look, out of whack. You have more scale and the exterior. When the exterior is the same for 90 years, it's hard to say that setting precedent for future homes. But that's just where I see it.
I'm just kind of having a hard time how this got to us, I think, more than anything. So I'm looking for some kind of a bone from them. I will withdraw my motion if someone else would like to make a motion.
Sure, I'll make the motion then to approve the project as written with the special variances for as listed in the staff report.
Seconded.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Lowenthal, second by Commissioner Haran. Any further discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I don't build like a lot of you, so pardon my comments, but the reason why it's different is because the original doesn't have that line, I don't know what you call it. It's like brick molding, I don't know, but it's in stucco. It doesn't have that drip line or whatever separating the two. It's just straight up. So it doesn't look, to me, it looks different than it does right now. I mean, they've done a nice job on it, but you can clearly see the difference between the first and the second floor on the new drawing, and it's not there on the one that looks more like a split level, but I understand it's not a split level. I get it. So it's just an upper entrance. So anyway, it's neither here nor there, but.
Okay. All right, thank you. If there's no further discussion, could we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Haran?
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff?
Aye.
Chair Gall?
Aye. So the motion passes 4-0-0-3, An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations. And that will bring us to agenda item 8D, 1669 and 1699 Bayshore Highway and 810 821 Malcolm Road. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication regarding this project? Commissioner Haran.
I had an ex parte discussion with the developer.
Thank you. Were there any other ex parte communications? Nope. So let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, the commission reviewed this project as a study item on 2 previous occasions, and the minutes from those meetings are provided in the attachments to the staff report. The application is for a total of 475,790 gross square feet of research and development space, including a 7-story north building, an 8-story south building, and a separate parking garage. The Class 32 categorical exemption has been prepared for the project and is provided as a separate attachment. The staff report contains suggested findings for commercial design review and the 2 special permits. And there are a total of 40 conditions of approval for the commission to consider. Tonight, the commission should consider and act on the following approvals: commercial design review, special permit for building height greater than 65 feet for all 3 buildings, special permit for community benefits for increased floor area ratio for Tier 3 project, and also a recommendation to City Council of a vesting tentative parcel map. The applicant has a presentation for the commission first, after which staff will be available for questions. The environmental consultant is also available for any questions involving the environmental document. That concludes my brief introduction, and the applicant can now begin their presentation.
Good evening. Nice to see everyone this evening. Thank you again for having us here in front of you. My name is Peter Banzoff. I represent the ownership team of 1699 Bayshore Boulevard. And we're excited to be here tonight. We've been in front of the commission a couple times now. We've been meeting with staff over several months, and we've had a very positive experience all the way through. There's a lot of support for the project, but we've also been receiving feedback from this commission. And so what I wanted to do tonight was explain how we've taken your feedback and incorporated it into our project. So that's what our presentation is going to be for tonight. I'm also available later for any specific comments around the project. I've happened to know it quite intimately at this moment, but we'll welcome any questions or comments you may have. So just to reframe the community benefits that we're proposing for the project needs to have 3 community benefits. We're proposing 4. They are twin public plazas. They face inward on Malcolm Road. We also have public art sprinkled throughout the campus, as well as inside the buildings themselves. We have off-site infrastructure improvements, which is our Bay Trail connector across across Bayshore Highway. That's a crosswalk. And then we have shared building amenities, which are publicly accessible restrooms, which are gender neutral in both buildings, open to the public. We also have a conference center in the south building, plus a community boardroom in the north building, both open to the public. And we have a fast casual bistro concept that I'll talk about more in detail today. So over the period of time, most recently in August, we heard from this commission some feedback, and we wanted to make sure we incorporated that feedback into our project. And so the first thing that we heard was, you have these wonderful amenities, but where's the public going to park? And so we took that as, quite literally, and we looked at our project, and we have a surface parking lot on the north building, and we're able to dedicate parking there to the public. And so when we looked around our neighborhood to see what have other projects done in order for us to meet and if not exceed the standard of public parking in the neighborhood, we looked at 1300 Bayshore, and on a pro rata basis, we're going to provide the same amount of parking. So we'll have 10 parking stalls that will be available to the public throughout the day. If someone wants to come to our project, they may park there. If they want to go visit another property nearby or the Bay Trail, they may park there. We'll work with staff to make sure that there's some type of time limit on what that parking might be, because we want to make sure that if people go there and they park, they're not taking a flight out of town and parking there long term. So we'll work through the details, but we are dedicating 10 parking spaces to the public in that surface lot, which we feel is really easily identifiable. The other thing that we heard was about making sure we had enough bicycle parking on site. We are 0.8 miles from the Mill Bay BART transit corridor, and we're also about 1.2 miles from the Broadway bicycle overpass on 101. And the area is pretty flat. And so even someone like myself can bicycle it. And we think that there needs to be more bike parking too. So it's good feedback. We've doubled the number of bicycle on site. So that's our commitment to create more bicycle parking. There was another comment, which was, I think, brought before on us by Commissioner Camarado, but also chaired by others, about creating consistent site lighting. And we have one project, but then there's another project down the street and several more on Airport Boulevard. How do we create a consistent, area for the city, so it's not, such a quilt? And so the city staff asked us to incorporate, the Burlingame Point lighting standards into our project, which is an add. But we recognize the desire by the city to have a consistency across the whole bayfront, and that's the right thing to do for the community. We happen to know the landscape designer for Burlingame Point, which is Peterson Studios, and so we reached out to them. We received the spec for the light fixture, and we've now incorporated that into our campus plans. There was a phone caller that came in to our meeting in August that talked about biosafety levels. And so we brought on a biosafety consultant to make sure that we were meeting all the standards. We also shared that consultant with city staff in case there are any questions they may have independent of us. And we're a life science research facility, and we're being built on a speculative basis, so we don't have a tenant in tow. So we couldn't identify what BSL level that we're proposing for the property. But I can tell you this, there are no BSL 4s in the state of California. We're not proposing one here. And the marketplace for biosafety level is really 95% BSL 1 and 2. And there are less than 5% of BSL 3s. You find BSL 3s in things such as a hospital. So it's not as scary as one may think. This is regulated not only at the local level here in the city, but also the state and the federal level. There are standards that companies have to adhere to, and those standards would apply to our project. Another piece of feedback that we received was, is there a way for us to transplant or preserve the Mexican fan palms? I've actually transplanted a few pretty large trees, coastal redwoods, as well as Canary Island palms in the past. And moving a mature tree is complicated. It may seem kind of straightforward, but you need to have an established planting pit because you damage the root balls when you move the tree. And so we looked at, are there nurseries that would receive these trees? We called up the city arborist for Millbreaks, that's their street tree. Thus far, we haven't found anybody that's willing to take the trees. And unfortunately, the size of the trees, they're nice, large trees, but they're kind of complicated to move because they're so long. They'd have to stick on a flatbed out the back. And then when you try and move that down the freeway, you need to have a CHP patrol vehicle, trail the car. So it's a little more complicated than one would think. thus far, we haven't found anybody, but we'll keep looking. We do have a street demo permit or tree demo permit, but we didn't want to ignore the comment where we have tried. Another piece of feedback that we received was wanted to make sure that we were really doing everything we could for the Bay Trail. Our project will make a connection across Bayshore Highway with a community benefit for our crosswalk. We recognize that there's a city standard there for the entire Bayfront Highway that we're going to implement. So that will be street trees, there'll be street lighting. In the future, there will be a protected bicycle lane there as well. And so we're dedicating ourselves to creating all that street frontage, and then we'll go across the street with our crosswalk. But we recognize that the Bay Trail is not in that equation. And so we are going to take the next step forward, which is dedicate $100,000 to the city so they may use it for future Bay Trail improvements. The Bay Trail is made up of a lot of private land with city ordinances. So we're not quite sure how we would dedicate that money. We really feel that the city is best suited to handle that. And this gives maximum flexibility for city staff to use the funds. And then lastly, I may have a little bit of mea culpa. I don't think I communicated our fast casual food concept correctly. This is not meant to be a coffee shop or a bakery that you would see down on the ground floor of a building. This is really meant to be a fast casual restaurant with quality that like you would see in concepts such as Mendocino Farms or Panera Bread. Both of those concepts actually have the farm to table offerings that a lot of people are seeking. And I've been down in the Bayfront with Mr. Teriyaki and the Lobster Shack, as well as other restaurants. And so we're trying to come up with a concept that is missing the menu that's out there. And we think that farm to table is the right fast casual restaurant that people would gravitate towards, not only for the occupants of our building, but for the general public. And what's nice about what we're proposing is it creates a menu variety that aligns with farm to table and seasonality. So when things are fresh, you can bring them to our property and then serve them. And we can do that either in a cold plated or a hot plated menu. And so all the things that you would see in a really nice, fine restaurant, we would have in a fast casual establishment. It would utilize a back of house, which has primarily a warming kitchen. The things that aren't done on site would be, cooking of poultry and fish, but we would have those as available offerings. And so I wanted to make sure that we didn't show a menu of what we could present tonight, but really give you the concept of how we think that this kitchen and this concept is really going to be something that people want to go to. And then we'll have beer and wine, which I don't think Panera has. So hopefully we can all have a drink there one day when the project's built. So I wanted to wrap up and say that we're really, appreciative of city staff's support in getting us here at this meeting tonight. It's not been an easy road with the amount of work that they have going on. We know that there's a lot of outreach about how our project is a great fit for the neighborhood. It's going to bring in great tenants to the city of Burlingame. I have a very preliminary fiscal impact report that shows that we'll be creating a $690,000 annual fund bump. And we'll also be contributing about $9.5 million in impact fees. And so it's not a small project. It's something that we're really proud of, and we hope the city is too. And so we really appreciate your consideration of our project and look forward to having any questions or feedback you might have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Vice Chair Pfaff.
Of course, I have to have a question. Thank you for the great the presentation. I just have a quick comment, and I couldn't find the appropriate measurement tool, but if I could just ask you about specifically page, this is the site plan A01-00. It's with regard to the, I guess you call it the north building. It's the one that is the northernmost on Old Bayshore Highway. And I just wanted to ask where so you've offset the base floor, like the bottom, the lobby, with the top. And so what I'm asking you about is the base of the building. I'm trying to figure out in the area where that angle comes out next to what I think is a sidewalk and a road, but I just can't figure out if it says, I guess it's the road to the driveway, I guess it is, and then some kind of a sidewalk. It looks really narrow to me, and so it looks pinched. And so I wanted to ask if you could tell me how wide that, if it is a sidewalk, how wide that is, where the point, do you see what I'm talking about?
I know it well. And so if you're referring to the point that's on Malcolm Road.
No, I don't think it's Malcolm. It's the other, it would be I think it's the driveway. It's another driveway behind, and so
Yes. So that the first floor for sea level rise sits the building up tall, and so that driveway that's closest to the Hampton Inn Suites is a service drive, and there is a sidewalk there. It's a city standard sidewalk on Bayshore Highway. As you go back down that service drive, we weren't proposing a sidewalk there that would meet the city standard.
You were not?
No, that's an emergency egress walk path.
Okay, because it's really pinched. So even though it is, I don't know, is it like what, 3 feet? It doesn't look for 2.5, 3 feet. Okay, so what you're saying is it is legal to have a sidewalk going on a service road that is not, it's almost like an alley is what you're saying. It's an alley. It's alley standards. Okay.
Yes, it's not meant for the public use.
Got it. That was my question because it looked really narrow.
I happen to have my plans here, but I'm going to make sure I'm not misspeaking.
Okay.
You said A01.00?
Yes.
Yes, that's our emergency egress walk path for the back of the house.
Got it. All right. Thank you so people aren't really supposed to be walking there is what you're telling me.
Correct. We'll have security to understand who is walking there.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? I actually have a couple. There should be pretty quick. Your public parking, I assume there will be some kind of signage there to indicate that is public accessible parking, correct?
Yes, we were proposing on striping the stalls. So there would be either could be blade signage, but it may prefer to be either on the tarmac or blade, whichever the city prefers.
Okay, so you work with the city on that. Yeah, and you already addressed the time limit because that was one of my questions. And this may or may not apply, but last meeting we had a presentation about redoing Old Bayshore Highway, and I believe that this portion of it would be redone. If I'm wrong on this, maybe staff can stop me, but in that presentation, it looked like we were cutting that 4-lane road down to 2 lanes with a median and bike lanes on either side. And my question to you, and it may not even be relevant because that has not been put into motion yet, but was that considered in the traffic study? Or are you even aware that that was something that the city was considering?
I'm aware of it, but the future plans have been reviewed by our traffic engineer. However, but I couldn't say at this moment definitively if those plans were engineered, the city's plans were engineered to a place that would impact the traffic report.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that, I'm really kind of just throwing it out there because I'm thinking of things that are coming down the pike, and it hasn't been put in motion yet, so it wouldn't necessarily be something you would be required to consider, but I just didn't know if you had or not. But thank you for being aware of that.
We are aware too that we will have to do our fair share on our side of the street, and we have another project down the road that we're also designing that into.
Okay.
So that as the city develops the Bayfront Highway, we're kind of preparing our projects to align with it.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you. Commissioner Lowenthal, I see your hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question. I really like the community benefits. One of them that intrigued me was the conference center that I think can handle up to 100 people, yet we only have 10 public parking spots. Was there any consideration of how that would be, or how that's tenable? I mean, all the other benefits, I understand you could walk to them, you could bike to them, you could public transport, but for the conference room, it seemed, odd that you would have 100 people walking, to that location.
I don't disagree. What we're planning to do is actually coordinate for those types of events. If somebody wants to reserve the conference room for 100 people, that's something they would have to interface with our property management staff on, so that we could shut the conference room down for them, and then we would open up the garage to allow them to park there. We just wouldn't want to make that the everyday standard. If someone really wants to use the conference facility, of course, we're going to make that available to them. And then if, we're the sponsor of shutting down the streets, by example, to create, kind of that fun opportunity of connecting the plazas, we would open up the garage for that. Or if we wanted to work with the chamber, that's where that opportunity comes in, off hours on the weekend or something.
Great, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions from the commission? All right, do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Chair Gall, we do have a few speakers with their hands raised. No public comment emails, but let me bring in the first speaker. There's no name, it's just a phone number, so let me bring them in. Caller, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Ethan Lester with Operating Engineers. We strongly support this project. The company in question is Hathaway Dinwiddie. They're definitely a great company. This project will create over 2,000 union jobs over a course of 4 years, which will bring a lot of positive feedback with all our union members in the area. Again, Ethan Lester, Operating Engineers, we strongly support this project. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll bring in Amanda Mazet. Give us a second. Sometimes there is a delay in bringing folks in. Okay, let me try the next speaker, Humberto Nava. Humberto, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Sorry. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Humberto Nava, and I'm a field representative for Carpenters Local 217. I represent over 1,200 members in San Mateo County. I am here tonight to express my support for the 1699 Bayshore project. Hathaway Dinwiddie is part of this project, and they have made a commitment to bring in workforce in San Mateo County. This project will create up to 2,000 union jobs and many more permanent jobs when this project is built. Tax revenue will connect the community in San Mateo County. No more taxpayer dollars spent to subsidize healthcare for contractors who refuse to do the right by the community. Fair living wages, pension, training for the local union workforce, and employment opportunity to local residents. That is Hathaway's doing a commitment to Burlingame, San Mateo, and the workforce. What better community benefit than elevating the working class? As inflation and housing crisis continue to have an impact in our working class and put a strain in our working men and women's budget, I applaud the level of engagement from Hathaway to the community that have and continue to elevate our blue-collar workers and create opportunities to make the Bay Area diverse and livable. Thank you for your time and ask for your support for those who look to improve our community.
Great. I will bring in Lisa Kirschner next.
Good evening. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Kirschner. I'm the general manager of the SFO Waterfront Marriott. The project that Peter is speaking to is right across the street from my hotel. My owners and I, Xenia REIT Capital, are in full support of the project. Early on, gosh, I think it was early last year, Peter reached out to me directly. And now he and his contractors and his team have continued to update me on the project. And I can't say enough about what this will bring to our community and also to Bayshore and Airport Boulevards. If you know me at all, I've attended some of these meetings, I've attended city council meetings, and I continue to speak about how we must invest in the community where my hotel is located. We're a huge contributor to the general fund, and one of the top 3 complaints that my guests tell me about is there's just not a lot to do, not a lot of pretty things to look at in the neighborhood. And I think Peter and his project and the community will really benefit from having the life sciences project at 1699 and on Bayshore Boulevard. I definitely urge this commission to fast track the project and not delay it. I'll just really quickly say that COVID's really hurt our industry, and the neighborhood is really suffering and trying really hard to get back to 2019 levels and before. I am really motivated by hearing about the jobs the project will bring and also the beautification to the neighborhood. I'm also a resident of Burlingame, and I use the Bay Path all the time. And just the commitment to ensuring that that beauty, that natural beauty that we all enjoy in Burlingame, is preserved. I think Peter and his team are committed to Burlingame. They are definitely good neighbors. They have been to me so far, and I imagine they would be very good for our community as well. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Great. I'm going to try bringing in Amanda again. See if that works.
While we bring her in, if any other public comments are out there, please make sure you raise your hand. Right now, this is the last hand we see raised.
Okay, Amanda's not able to come in. Oh, here she is.
She just came.
There we go.
She's here.
Amanda, whenever you're ready, you may speak. Going once, going twice.
Amanda, you're muted if you can come off mute.
Okay, unfortunately, we can't wait any longer, so we will have to proceed. Let me just check the public comment emails one more time, and I see none, so we can close the public hearing.
All right, then I am going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any comments or discussion? Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yeah, I feel as if this, from what we've seen, Peter and his group are extremely receptive to most all of the comments we've had, which have only improved this greatly, in my opinion. And I think these are really meaty items that will contribute to the quality of life, not only for that area, but everyone's in Burlingame. Well, I definitely really appreciate the effort that has been made wherever they could, including the Palms. Thank you very much. And I know you'll continue looking for homes. So thank you for a great presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Vice Chair Pfaff. I think it was a very nice presentation. They did a very nice job listening to the comments meetings and incorporating them into what we have today, which I think is a gorgeous project to completely redefine that area. I've been going to dinner there since I was a kid, and so it's sad to see some of those restaurants go away over the years. And so it's nice to see a refreshing area or refreshing building come with, I think, actually some real nice public amenities. I love the attention to the Bay Trail. I definitely think the plaza is actually usable, and having a cafe there, I think the way Peter described is brilliant. I only wish there was more of that type of thing. You know, you can only do so much. So I'm very much in favor. I think it's a fantastic project. I'm excited to see it built, and I think it will transform that whole corridor of our town.
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree. I can find reasons to approve this whole project. Really, they come a long ways, and I think that the outdoor area is going to set a precedent that I hope we see in a lot of the future projects down in that area. So I'm wholeheartedly in favor of the project and hope to see it move forward tonight. We have, we have 4 things, if I'm not mistaken, that we need to approve. One is the recommendation of vesting of the tentative parcel map, the special permit for the community benefits for increased floor area ratio for a tier 3 project, special permit for building height greater than 65 feet for properties fronting Old Bayshore Highway, and the commercial design review. I don't know if we need to act on those separately or all as one.
No, Chair Gall, that can be all rolled into one motion.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve the project with the conditions as stated in the staff report, and as the plans that are presented before us for the commercial design review, the special permit for the building height, the special permit for the community benefits, and the tentative parcel map.
Second.
Chair Gall, before we get a second, the tentative parcel map is just a recommendation to the city council.
Oh, okay, so that doesn't need to be part of the motion.
It should be part of the motion, or else we can do a second motion addressing that, but the motion should be recommending approval of the tentative parcel map to the city council.
Okay, well, why don't we do that as a separate motion?
Okay.
So this will be for the commercial design review, special permit for the building height, and the special permit for the community benefits, which I think are great.
I second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Chair Gall, second by Commissioner Haran. Any discussion on the motion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Haran?
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff?
Aye.
Chair Gall? Aye. So the motion passes 4-0-0-3. And an action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing, must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes notice and costs. Okay, then we also need to make a recommendation to City Council for the tentative parcel map. And I would make that recommendation.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Chair Gall, second by Vice Chair Pfaff. Any discussion on the motion? No, then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Haran?
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff?
Aye.
Chair Gall?
Aye. So that motion passes 4-0-0-3 also. and we look forward to this project getting underway. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Have a good evening. Okay, then we're going to move on to our design review study items. We have two tonight. The first one is 1441 Alvarado Avenue. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? I don't see any hands, so let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Sure. This is an application for design review, hillside area construction permit, and special permits for building height and a new attached garage for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling at 1441 Alvarado Avenue, zoned R1. The subject property is an interior lot that contains an existing two-story single-unit dwelling and detached pergola at the rear corner of the site. Although there's an existing driveway that provides uncovered parking spaces, the site contains no existing covered parking. The applicant is proposing to shift the existing driveway and curb cut to the north and to build a new attached lower-level garage, a first-floor covered patio addition, and second-floor additions at the front and rear of the existing dwelling. The proposed house would have a total floor area of 3,977 square feet, where 4,021 square feet is the maximum allowed. The subject property is located in the hillside area. Review by the Planning Commission should be based upon the obstruction of the existing distant views of nearby properties from the proposed addition. Emphasis should be given to the obstruction of distant views from habitable areas within the dwelling unit. The applicant is requesting two special permits, one for the building height, 36 feet proposed, where 30 feet is the maximum allowed without a special permit, and also a special permit for a new attached two-car garage. Planning staff would note that the lot slopes upward approximately 18 feet from the front property line to the rear, with the finished floor proposed at 15 feet 11 inches above average top of curb. The existing house contains 3 bedrooms, and with this project, the number of bedrooms would increase to 5. 3 parking spaces, 2 of which must be covered, are required on site. 2 covered parking spaces are provided in the new attached garage, and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. All other zoning regulations have been met. I'd be happy to take questions of staff first, and then we can go to the applicant for any other questions you may have.
Thank you, Ruben. Are there any questions of staff? I don't see. Oh, Commissioner Lowenthal?
Yeah, just for clarification, what exactly are we, or why is there a special permit for the two-car garage?
So in the code, there is a special permit requirement for an attached garage. Kind of twofold. One is, how is that attached garage integrated into the design of the house? And number 2, also looking at the garage patterns in the neighborhood and whether it's consistent with those patterns.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of staff? No, then I'm going to open the public hearing with the applicant. Please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project.
Okay, I'm seeing 3 hands raised, so I'm hoping that these are all applicants. I will let them in. Robert, you may begin speaking whenever you're ready.
Hey there. I am the current resident and owner. I'm joined by my wife, Michaela Cameron, as well. I believe our architect is on as well, so hopefully we'll be joining shortly. I'll do a quick introduction or overview and then pass it over to our architect from here. There's Josh, his cute little dog. We moved to Burlingame in 2019. Feel very fortunate to have found this place and be a part of this city and community. Have loved living here while we've been here. But in a couple of years we've been here, kind of understood the house and how we may want to look to expand it for our growing family. And I've also saw a little bit of signs of aware of it's being a 100-year-old home that unfortunately currently floods in the winter. So a lot of late nights with shop vacuuming water out. So we're hoping to submit this project to be able to support our growing family and see if this house can make it another 100 years. But we'll pass it over to our architect from there.
Good evening, I'm Joshua Larson. I'm the architect on the project. I have had the wonderful opportunity of working with Rob and Michaela on this project for the last year and a half or so. I think as a design, my firm has worked really hard to study the residential design guidelines of Burlingame from the very beginning and make all design moves that were directly related to being within those guidelines and being appropriate in terms of mass and scale, relationship to the outdoor, how you use landscape to create outdoor rooms, creating privacy between lots. And more importantly, I think that the project itself is just as important that it blends in with the neighborhood. And it really looks like something that has been there for the last 100 years and not like an addition that has just happened and, or is about to happen. So it's important to me that the neighborhood fabric and the pattern that we see throughout the street is represented in the design that we've created. And we think what we've done is created as, a responsible design with very little expansion outside of the existing footprint. And we've integrated a lot of smart drought-tolerant landscaping to replace the expansive lawn that currently exists, which is not sustainable by any means for our water situation today, as we all know. We've added a lot of trees to the site, and I think architecturally, our additions have helped break down kind of an overall mass of building and created those different human scale moments of the veranda, which is an outdoor open air addition, which replaces a pergola, which was right along the property line of the neighbor. So we're moving that kind of function, that social function, closer to the house to give the neighbor more privacy, creating a very distinct hierarchy to entry in the house. One of the issues with the house is it didn't have a clear entry. So people that came didn't really know where to enter the house. Packages were being left in the middle of the street, basically, not on the property. So creating a promenade using landscape and terracing of the excessive kind of grade of the house, essentially making it more human scale and something that would really fit in and address the street and the neighborhood itself.
Thank you. Oriel, are you part of the design team or? Oh, you're on mute. You're muted, I'm sorry. Can't hear you. Still muted.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, yes. I'm also part of the design team, but I am here just to support in case there is any question that I should be addressing.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have any questions of the applicant? Vice Chair Fox.
Yes. When I drove by the house, I noticed that you have your house is quite lovely, your current house, and it has some very beautiful, delicate, almost like frieze work done around the windows. And I see they are to remain, but when I look at the drawings, I just want to make sure I understand your notes. There's kind of a built up stucco thing around the windows, but there's a little note, and I'm trying to figure out, is the note telling us that you are replicating the detail you have on the front of the house, or is it actually going to look the way that your renderings show?
It is going to look like our rendering show. We're trying to kind of give nod to the arch that's in the front of the house but in a more subtle way on the addition.
Okay. Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for the applicant? No? Okay, then do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Or were any comments received through email?
No comments received through email. We do have one speaker, Michael Rudolph, so let me bring Michael in.
God bless you, Scott.
Michael, you may begin speaking whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Commission. This is Michael Rudolph. We are next door neighbors to the Camerons and had the opportunity to review the Camerons project with them about a week and a half ago. And in general, we're very supportive of their plans and what they would like to do. If anything, we uncovered a couple of issues that I think we will work with the Camerons on. One has been mentioned by staff here, which is the longer range view that we have today of the bay and airport. And potentially that might go away with some of the landscaping. The other item is the addition to the back of the Camerons house would potentially provide increased access to our pool view, which we have. So again, that's something that we can work on. These are not major issues in our opinion, but we think they are things that we would be concerned about as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a question, are you the neighbor to the north then?
We would be the neighbor to the south. As you look towards the bay, we would be on the right-hand side of their house.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions?
No, I don't have any. Anyone else? No? Okay, do we have any other members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
I'm not seeing any other hands raised.
Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments or discussion on this project? I'll start. I think it's a really nice project. I mean, I actually had the opportunity a few years ago from one of the previous owners. I know it switched hands a couple of times, but I did have the opportunity to go through the house, and it has quite a bit of deferred maintenance, which the owner has discovered. But I think that the design is really nice. It fits in well with the neighborhood. I can support the attached garage variance. Overall, I think it's great. I understand the neighbor's concern. I'm glad he's willing to work with the applicant about any view blockage. I don't know, however, if landscaping constitutes something that would be view blockage, or do we just mainly go forward with the building itself?
Yeah, your review would be based on the proposed addition or addition to the building, not the landscaping. I think the landscaping, that's something that can be worked amongst the two property owners, the neighbors, in terms of keeping it, you know, what's being planted and keeping it trimmed. But your review is based on the building itself.
Right. Okay. All right. Any other Vice Chair Pfaff?
Yeah, I think it's very cleverly done. It's very, I think it's a very, the architect and working with the owners has done a really nice job of concealing things. And I love the detail on the garage is really interesting, or I don't even know what that is, the door, the sort of the stencil look or whatever. It's very pretty. It's not worth holding a project up. I'm just going to comment that I feel that the detail that you have on the the raised relief around the window, I think it would be nice if it were a little more delicate to match the one on the front, which is quite special, and just the shape, I'm not sure that kind of the, I don't know, circular. I would have picked something different, but it's your personal choice. I just wanted to mention that. I think the front is very lovely. So anyway, I don't know if you want to relook at that, but it's, I think it's a really nicely done plan, and the landscaping's lovely. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to commend the architectural team for a very beautiful presentation. I think the 3D renderings are always helpful for us. I think the project looks really nice, speaks for itself. I certainly have no issues and are in favor of the findings for the special permits. I would be surprised if this is not even close to the tallest house on the street, even after it's remodeled. There are some big houses on that block, but I walk that every day with my kids, and none of those tall houses bother me. And I think this will fit in very well. And so I'm very much in favor.
Okay. There's no further comments. I'll be looking for a motion. Commissioner Haran? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hate to be repetitive. I do think it's a good looking project. I like the auto court. I think that's a clever reuse of the front yard. I was struggling to find the front door, even with the, the more prominent arch to help identify it. That was the only kind of aesthetic challenge I had, but it's a good project. Thanks.
Okay, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. Is this a design review or for action?
Correct. This is design review study, so your options are to bring it back on regular action or on the consent calendar. Those are your two options.
I'll propose a motion to bring it back on the consent calendar.
I'll second that. So we have a motion by Commissioner Haran, second by Chair Gall. Any discussion on the motion? No, then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Haran?
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal?
Aye.
Vice Chair Foth?
Aye.
Chair Gall?
Aye. I guess, yeah. So I don't have to do any note of, there's no.
Correct. This is not, action is not
Yeah,
appealable.
we'll come back on this. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Then we're going to move on to design review study item 9B, 912 Linden Avenue. If you're the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication regarding this project? No, then let the record know that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
This is an application for design review for a new 2-story single unit dwelling and attached garage. The subject property is an interior lot that contains an existing 1-story single unit dwelling with an attached garage. The applicant is proposing to demolish all structures on the site to build a new 2-story house and attached 1-car garage. Proposed project will have a floor area of 2,907 square feet, where 2,911 square feet is the maximum allowed. The new dwelling would contain 3 bedrooms, 2 parking spaces, one of which must be covered, are required for this house. The new attached garage provides 1 covered space, and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. The project does include an attached ADU with the main dwelling. Review of the ADU application is administrative only and is not reviewed by the Planning Commission. Staff has determined that the ADU complies with the ADU regulations. I would note that with the new zoning code, we do not require, as we did with the previous application, a special permit for an attached garage when the project includes replacing an existing attached garage. So a little bit different between this one and the previous one. The previous project had no covered parking, whether it was attached or detached. So that's why they required a special permit. In this case, under the new zoning code regulations, when one is replacing an existing attached garage with another attached garage, no special permit is required because the house already has the presence of containing an attached garage. So that's the only difference I wanted to point out. I'd be happy to take questions of staff now, but the applicant is also here.
All right, are there any questions of staff? Vice Chair Fox.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. I want to make absolutely sure I understand is the plate height of the lower floor in this one 12 and the upper is 7, 6?
No, so it's basically the first floor plate height is 9 feet. The 12 foot that you're seeing there is the declining height envelope measurement.
Okay.
So the first floor is 9 feet, second floor is 8 feet. So it does comply with our regulations. No special permit being requested.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, and you can cut me off if I'm getting into territory we're not supposed to be, but it has to do with the JADU. This looks like it can be an ADU, but it also looks like it could be just a couple extra bedrooms. So we don't have in our code for a JADU that it needs to be, it can be in the structure, but it doesn't necessarily need to be separate, like with solid walls. You can still have a door to get in there or whatever, like they have on this.
Correct. Yeah, and that applies for both a JADU and an ADU. A door can be placed within the main dwelling, so it does not have to be totally separate. The intent of that was to allow options for, if you have different generations of families living in the same house, whether it be a young couple or perhaps elderly parents, that they can still have that connection within the house. So in some cases, we're seeing solid wall. In other cases, we're seeing the option of a door installed into the main dwelling. So that is in compliance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So it could be a solid wall, like if you had your mother-in-law in there or something, right?
True. Depending on the family.
Well, just saying.
Right.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions of staff? All right, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Will the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
So I see 3 hands raised. I'm going to first bring in who I believe is the architect, Amanda. So let me try that, and then I will bring in the other 2 hands raised. Just give us a second here. Amanda, or Hannah, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Hi there, my name's Hannah. Just going to share my screen.
We can see your screen.
Great. Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. Thank you for attending tonight. My name is Hannah Chu, planner with Thomas James Home, applicant for the project at 912 Linden Avenue. Diving right in, our project site is located on Linden Avenue, approximately 600 feet from the Rollins Road and Toyin Drive intersection. Our project is zoned R1 single family residential with a lot size of approximately 5,660 square feet. The existing 1,193 square foot 1-story home shall be demolished as mentioned by planner, along with the existing attached garage and detached shed. And we are proposing a 2,550 square foot 2-story residence consisting of 3 beds and 3.5 baths and a 418 square foot 1-bed, 1-bath attached ADU with an attached 1-car garage that would be set back further from the street to allow the living and the entry of the home to be proud of the garage and create a desired street facing facade. So the proposed footprint is slightly smaller in width than the existing home. The second floor is set back further from the first floor to reduce the massing and provide more relief on the sides. The rear of the proposed footprint is in alignment with the previous footprint of the left adjacent home. However, they are currently adding onto the back of their home, but our proposed footprint remains a similar L-shaped pattern as the left home. Our proposed home creates a private uncovered outdoor space on the right edge and allows more usable rear yard space for the future homeowners. So an arborist report was completed and a total of 7 trees were analyzed. 2 trees are actually on site, one of them being a redwood to be protected and retained. The other tree is a non-protected Spanish bayonet. It's planted in close proximity to a fence, and because of this, the arborist has recommended it to be removed. We are proposing to add 7 24-inch box trees to complement the site, as well as provide privacy to adjacent neighbors, as it is going to be a 2-story home. 1 tree will be in the front yard setback. 4 will be along the rear right edge, and 2 of them will be in the rear left. Due to the proximity of construction, our arborist has noted that tree number 2 is more likely to be impacted from construction, while tree number 5, this is along the left property line, tree number 5's drip line is mostly outside of the proposed construction area and therefore is of minimal concern. But both of these trees are not on site, but they are in close proximity to our property line. During construction, tree preservation practices will be handled with care. If trenching is needed, it'll be done by hand, and trees will be properly fenced for protection. Regular irrigation will be provided to the trees during construction, and any exposed roots will be kept moist, further ensuring tree protection and preservation. So here you'll see a to give some context of the surrounding homes. The neighborhood mostly consists of single-family homes. These homes are a blend of single-story and 2-story additions. The immediate neighborhood is predominantly minimal traditional style homes. We see mainly stuccos being used with less detailing. Bay windows, gable and hip roof forms, and some framed porches are seen throughout the neighborhood. Here you'll see a continuation of our neighborhood study. As mentioned previously, once again, single-story homes, 2-story additions. However, you will see in this slide that there is a new 2-story home in the neighborhood located at 1020 Toyin Drive. That's going to be the bottom center home. We did send neighbor notices to all addresses within a 300-foot radius and held a neighbor meeting via Zoom on September 6th. We understand the concerns that was mentioned in our meeting, and one of them being parking along the street. In regards to context of the neighborhood, we found that many of the homes do have 1-car garages. Our proposed 1-car garage does comply with the code regulation, which requires a 1 covered and 1 uncovered parking spot for homes up to 4 bedrooms. In addition to the code compliance, we're working to save as many trees on site as possible. If we did expand the driveway to a 2-car garage, it would require the removal of an existing street tree, which is a red maple. And according to the arborist, that red maple is in good condition, so we really don't want to remove if we don't have to. And in addition, keeping the 1-car driveway would allow for additional street parking. So hopping into our proposed design, it's a traditional style home to blend well with pre-existing neighborhood patterns mentioned earlier in this presentation. The study session held for a previous project of ours in Burlingame noted that proposed design should fit into the neighborhood context. We studied the homes in the area closely and concluded that stucco was common among the homes, as we mentioned earlier. So therefore, we proposed to use stucco on the 1st and 2nd floors. Color selection of our home is white with dark accents for the doors, posts, and roof. Fiberglass material is used at the door and windows with the exception to the garage door, which is metal. Black window frames are being proposed to have a more modern accent to the traditional style home. The height of the home at the ridge is proposed to be 27 feet and 4 inches, which is under the 30-foot height envelope. Second story eaves are just over 20 feet, which would be more in line with the ridge height of the home shown on the left-hand portion of the slide, and would align with the eave of the home shown on the right of the slide. And here you can see in our section cut showing our 9-foot first floor and our 8-foot second floor and our overhangs in relation to the window heights. Windows are not up against the eave, but are below the plate height by 1 foot on the first floor and by 6 inches on the second floor. So our windows have been placed accordingly to maintain egress and consistency with the remainder of our window design. Lowering of the front windows would create conflict with our proposed roof design. Going into the roof design, we've proposed traditional pitch roofs, hip and gable forms. We increased our roof pitch due to previous comments heard from a past project in Burlingame that we had. We feel that this roof design fit better in context with the neighborhood. Horizontal siding is used to provide texture, and the gable treatment provides a little more detail to the facade. In addition to the fascia boards, have a profile of the gables. A wide porch with columns and an accent metal roof is centralized to create an inviting front. Though narrow in width, we're providing a step back from the first floor and second floor. At the front, the home steps back multiple times to provide smaller massing. A double gable feature is proposed while the main roof remains a hip roof. A single story gable speaks to the double gable and also creates an intimate feel to the front. And then at the rear, the 2 floors are divided by a belly band and a slight overhang. Hipped roofs are maintained to simplify and reduce the massing. So at the right and left, the second floor steps back and there's a short tower at the stair, and the chimney also breaks up the wall massings. That is it for our design. And I just like to thank you all for in attendance. I know it's been a long night. And myself, another team member from Thomas James, Cynthia Tebow, and our project architect, Amanda. We're all here if you would like to ask us any more questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for the applicant? Vice Chair Pfaff?
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation. So a couple things on the windows. I know that you've mentioned you adjusted windows according to comments made at another meeting where we reviewed homes by your firm, and that these windows were 6 inches from the plate line. I think that's what you just said, plate height. Maybe it's just me. I don't know that 6 is enough. To me, they look really, really high. And it's just are we supposed to be asking questions? Are we on the questions or the comments? I'm sorry. It's been on. Okay. Do you think, I'm going to ask you a question. Why do you think that is enough? And how does it affect egress? I'm not understanding the egress comment you made.
So sorry. So yeah, so actually the windows, I don't believe was a portion that we addressed at a previous meeting. However, we do with the roof where it's placed, lowering the windows would create a conflict with our proposed roof design. Cynthia, did you want to maybe weigh in a little bit more on the windows?
Yeah, I'm Cynthia Tebow, also at Thomas James Homes. So to answer your question regarding the windows, I think what Hannah was referring to about what we've changed on the previous comments was the roof. We made the roof design a little bit more steep to address the concern and just fit in better with the neighborhood. But specifically on the windows, she was referring to that front window. So we have single hung windows and we need egress for the front bedroom. And then if you look at the front elevation of the design, if we were to lower that window to continue having egress, it would have a direct conflict with the roof design at the front there. And then we don't want to lower specific, other windows. So we could lower it at the rear of the home, but then it wouldn't all match all the way around. And then if we changed the design of the actual window, if we went to a different style of window, then there wouldn't be consistency. So that's the reason for the 6 inches, which we do feel is adequate, but I believe in this kind of 2D scale, it looks a little bit odd.
Okay, I think, okay, okay, the rest of mine are comments, so I'll just stop there. Thank you very much.
All right. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, then do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item, or were there any comments received through email?
We have no comments received through email, and we do have 2 hands raised. So I will first bring in Carlene. Carlene, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm Carlene Harvey. I live at 920 Linden Avenue. There are some other residents listening. I know that they were here. We're concerned about the size of the project and a 1-car garage. We have parking problems on Linden, on this 900 block of Linden. And the project is very large, and it's got a bathroom attached to each bedroom. And then you have the ADU with a kitchen and a bathroom and a bedroom. It's almost like it could be used as a Airbnb or some kind of multi-family residence, which would mean that you could possibly have anywhere from 6 to 8 cars, and you've got a 1-car garage. It's a very large project, and some of the examples that they showed are not on this 900 block of Linden of 2 stories. On Toyon, one of the houses that they showed, there's several 2nd stories there. We only have a 2-story on each corner of Linden. The size and scale of this project is just way too big for our neighborhood, and the parking and 1-car garage. And there is, I don't know what they were saying about, well, if we have to remove a maple tree. I don't believe there's a tree in front of that house. There's a large tree in front of the house at 916 that isn't being built right now. It's been sitting there, a big mess. Anyway, it just, I'm looking at my notes, and we did send an email. An email was sent. I guess, I don't know if you have it or don't have it. The scale is just too big, and the amount of people that can be living in this place and have cars, it will just, it's too big. And the developer came in, bought this property, and now is developing it to the hilt. So anyways, that's our concerns. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Do we have any other members of the public, Ruben?
Yes, we have 2 more, so I'll bring in Joshua next.
Oh, hi everyone. Thanks for being here. Good evening. It's been a long night. We live, my wife's next to me. We live at 917 across the street. And we've been living in Burlingame for 5 years and we love it. We met with the group when we met back in September to go over the initial designs. I'm pretty sure at that point, Carlene sent an email to the city. Another neighbor sent an email to the city as well. I share Carlene's concerns, just that this home seems like it's very big. Our block of Linden and Azalea and Larkspur that cuts across it, they're all one-story homes, except on occasion, one of the corner homes may have an addition on top of the garage. The one that was shown by the group in the bottom middle from Toyon, it's not really representative. It's kind of a standout house where you notice, wow, that's a big home in this relatively small neighborhood. A lot of our neighbors have, let's say, developed their homes a bit, and usually they go back a little. I know this property certainly has a lot of room to go back. One of the other things I noticed is that the setback isn't quite as deep as the homes around it, and it's a pretty big house to be pretty close to the sidewalk. It just seems like it to us that it's going to change the look of the neighborhood, at least the 900 blocks, like of Linden and Azalea, the Larkspurs. And I know in the past we've sat through the whole call. We've heard people in the commission say that they appreciate when people are trying to redo homes to stay in with the look of the neighborhood. This one, it just seems like it's a little bit big and a little bit out of place. Do you have anything? Yeah, I also share concerns around parking. I don't know what we can really do, but I don't think a 2-car garage would be what makes this home out of place. I think it's the giganticness of the current plan that makes it out of place. So I would ask the team to consider if there's any way to go back instead of up, if there's any way to increase parking on site, because street parking is rather tight around here. And thank you for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. And do we
We have one more. Yeah, Sanjita. I will bring Sanjita in.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me. I live right across the street from the proposed development, 912. I'm immediately across from it, and we share the views that our neighbors have all voiced today. The primary one that it is a very, very large home for the size of the other existing homes in the neighborhood. Everything is a one-story house. There is only one on a corner that's a 2-story. And this one just seems like it's going to completely change the culture and the look of our neighborhood. It definitely is not fitting in with the traditional look of what the existing homes. We ourselves just recently remodeled our home, and we did a 1-story, and it fits in with the neighborhood. So I don't see why another house couldn't do something that is similar, while at the same time modernizing the house. The other concern that we have that our neighbors have also voiced is that every bedroom has an attached bathroom to it, including the ADU. So we really worry that this is going to become some sort of a multi-rental place, not a family home, and that there's not a single house on the 900 block that is a rental home, whether it's for a family or multiple families. So this really scares all of us. Parking is a very, very big issue in our neighborhood. Not only do most homes have 2 cars, but we also have to put up with the overflow from Rollins Road. So people will park their car who live on Rollins Road and leave it there for overnight, which gives us sometimes having to park our own car a block or 2 away. We also have people who go to use the airport, and they park their cars on our neighborhood streets for a day or 2 or 3 until they come back from holiday or business trip. So we are very, very tight for parking. So if this home is going to not be a home for one family, but multiple families, you're pretty much pushing the neighbors out from what they call their own home. And I strongly urge you to take consideration of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other members of the public or any emails, Ruben?
I'm not seeing a none.
Okay, then I am going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments? Is that?
That's me, Chair Gall. Is it
That's you,
okay
sir.
if I just make
Yeah.
a quick note? I just wanted to bring something up in case it's helpful for the neighbors to look at. I did want to refer them, and the commission knows we can't really discuss ADUs at these meetings. So that's something that I think we know, and that I want to make sure that the public understands, is that that's a ministerial process. So our planning department can look at that, but that's not something that our planning commission can actually consider. And going on that, I did want to refer public to chapter 25.48.030. That is the ADU chapter of our code. And it does go into some details about what can and can't be done there. And I just wanted to at least push that out. Parking requirements for JADUs are actually not something that, there are no parking requirements for a JADU. And on top of that, I did want to at least allay the concern about short-term rentals. Our ADU code does say that you can't have a rental for under 30 days in an ADU. So Airbnb concerns are something that wouldn't necessarily be applicable to this project. But just wanted to put that information out there before the commission begin to consider the project. So thank you very much for allowing me to say that.
Commissioner Haran.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate the neighbors' comments. I just view it from a planning perspective. It's complying with the zoning requirements. It's not an unusual residential design for Burlingame. Parking is an issue, so I feel for them. But this house is not that unusual that from houses that come across our docket. I think the design looks okay. I mean, all the elevations I think have some interest to them, and yeah, the windows might look a little bit tight to the eaves, and maybe that is a kind of 2D issue. It might look better in a 3D rendering, but overall, I can't find enough to fault the house. So, just my opinion.
Thank you, Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, thank you. I echo Commissioner Haran's sentiments. As a previous owner on this block, I actually lived next door to this house for 6 years. I certainly can empathize with the parking issues on the street. However, that being said, there's not a whole lot that we can do about that. As everyone said, this is a lot of overflow parking from Rollins and from airport parking. I don't think altering the design here is really going to move the needle much. If we did a 2-car garage, anything like that, there's not much that's going to happen. I did want to speak a little bit to the design. Overall, I like the design concept. However, I do have issues with the windows. The front windows just for some reason are not registering to me. You have the very large ADU windows in the front that I think are too imposing. And you then have these windows on the second floor, which are 6 inches from the plate height. And I understand the argument, but the argument unfortunately doesn't resonate with me, because I think the windows could be redesigned to meet egress and not have them slammed so high to the plate height so they don't mess with the roofs below. And then you have the 2 windows, on the left side of the house for the bedroom. And I understand why you put the windows up there for the bedroom to have a bed in it, but they just look very small and out of place compared to the very large downstairs windows and then the very large upstairs windows. And I hate putting my own personal interjections in these things, but the metal roof for some reason just doesn't do it for me. I understand why you do that, and I wouldn't quite classify it as a inviting front entryway with a metal roof. I think you have a lot of great dimensional detail on this house, something that is really nice. However, I don't think adding the metal roof is doing anything for us. In fact, to me, it takes away from what you're doing, and it throws in a very modern feel to a very traditional neighborhood. So it's not gonna kill the project for me, but I'm not a big fan of it. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yeah, I completely understand parking issues, and I understand the concern about privacy when the 2-story houses are built. And I'm familiar with your neighborhood, so it maybe is not gotten so many 2 stories yet, but it happens, and it's just happens, and it's so you have to just kind of do your best to control the ones that come in and make them the best you can, and that's kind of our job. We try to be successful with it, but I have to say that it's true that house is not that unusual for Burlingame, but I just find it has room definitely for improvement. The windows on the front seem very large to me on the front faces, but then on the I guess that's one with hip roof and some of the other faces that go around the house, it looks in error, and I think they need to come down at least another 6 inches or something. I mean, I don't think they look right. Even if you have to shorten the window because you feel it's too close to the floor for some reason, it can be done and look a lot more cohesive. I also don't understand in this case, I don't understand what the metal roof does. So I have to agree with Commissioner Lowenthal on that. I think that was it, but I think this could use some more refining that can improve it a lot, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree with the comments that have been made. I when you were doing your presentation, you showed the section, you said you had 6 inches above the window, but I don't think structurally that's going to work. I think you need to have a bigger header over your window because you got a double top plate as well. So especially on the rear elevation where you have those long windows, I don't think you're going to make it shoving those windows up underneath the eave like that. So I think that there's a little bit of work that needs to be done structurally to make it work, which will of course change the architecture. And I agree with the large window comment on the front. So I think if the windows could be reconfigured a little bit and brought to a scale that works for the house, it would be helpful. Just as a side note, I know in some neighborhoods in Burlingame that have had parking problems, it is possible to get neighborhood parking permits, and it's something that the neighborhood could look into. I had the same problem when I lived on Laguna, and we had people parking in front of the house for days on end as they went to the airport. So I get it. I sympathize with you, but I think that if you guys had parking permits, you might solve a little bit of that problem of the outside people coming and parking overnight or for days on end. So with that, unless there are any other comments, if someone would like to make a motion, I'm all ears. I don't see anybody, so I'll do it myself. I would make a motion to bring this back on regular action after the applicant has re-looked at the windows, the metal roof, and I think that's it, unless there was something else.
I'd second that.
Okay. So we have a motion by Chair Gall, second by Commissioner Lowenthal. Any discussion on the motion? No, then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Haran?
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal?
Aye.
Vice Chair Foss?
Aye.
Chair Gall?
Aye. So the motion passes 4-0-0-3, and this is not appealable. Okay, that concludes our design review study section of this meeting, and we go on to director's reports.
Under director reports, we do have one FYI item, 620 Trenton Way. Please let me know if any concerns, if you'd like to call that off, or if it's good to go. Okay.
We're all okay with it.
We're all okay with that. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
We do have a new item on the agenda called future agenda items. Scott, I don't know if you want to add anything to it, but the City Council has this on their agenda, and we thought it'd be a good idea to put this on an agenda in case you have any items that you'd like to discuss in the future.
Nothing for me to add, just that typically the way the City Council does it is if there's a single item that's one commissioner would like to bring, we usually try to get a second to make sure that someone else is interested before we do bring it back. So that's something that if we wanted to address that in the future of how many people we wanted to agree that it should come back as a future agenda item, we can. But for right now, I think probably a second would be enough if the commission believes as well. And with that, you can certainly, if you would like to, speak to a future agenda item, or you can certainly move. Sorry, Chair Gall, did you have a question?
Yeah, so when you say future agenda items, I'm still a little confused as to what you mean by that.
So
I mean,
typically,
with anything that we want to talk about at a future meeting?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So something that we can't talk about here tonight, but something that maybe you've been thinking of and you want to see if others are interested as well. This is the place to speak about whether you want to talk about it in the future. Of course, not take any action or get into details here, but say, I want to talk about X on the Bayfront.
Okay.
And if others agree, you could ask staff to set it on a future agenda.
Got it. Okay. Great.
So are you saying we need to wait one meeting to bring this up, or am I allowed to bring up a possible
I
future?
think through the chair, we've added it to the agenda here.
Right.
We're willing to hear it. We can certainly.
I'm going to go for it.
All right.
And this has been an item actually on the, I believe, on the general plan for a while as a to-do item, so it's not completely out of the ordinary. I would love to talk about the idea of 1%, 1%, whether it's for art or a park, or, I mean, we have a lot of Bayfront projects, so that's in that context, or Rollins Road. In that context, it might be nice to be able to have a system, something with, a system in place where we sort of have sort of a baseline we're working with. Does everybody know what 1%, maybe somebody like Ruben, or 1% for art?
I don't know.
Okay, well, so for the reason I'm bringing this up is my daughter lives in San Francisco, and in one of those high-rise apartments, and not in a great neighborhood. It's very cool, one of these big new things. But we took a walk up and down Mission and Market, and there are some absolutely amazing art and public space projects that are, now that our projects are getting larger and larger, are not that far off of what we're doing here. But San Francisco has a 1% for art program, where 1% of the project is set aside for a public amenity. But, we talk about amenities like we have the plaza, whatever your definition of plaza is. It's sort of more, it gives it some parameters as far as here is, it's almost like an in lieu you can do if you can't manage to produce, I don't know, let's just say a plaza, because we're not talking about a specific project, a plaza or two. Rather than that, you put your 1% into a kitty, and that goes towards, I don't know, some larger project that it's probably a council project, I don't know, but something that is for the benefit of the whole community, or that neighborhood or whatever part of the plan. That's the thought. And it's done in a lot of communities. So just want to bring that up, put that out there.
So framing that for staff, you want to have a discussion about allocations of public art for new projects, or?
It doesn't have to even be, doesn't have to be art. It can be a park. It can be, it's a public benefit. Whether that be an art, big sculpture, or a big, or, contribute to a park area that, for example, in Rollins, when we conceived of the Rollins neighborhood as being a new neighborhood, that was the idea. There's supposed to be a plan, and there were going to be parks and things to benefit all this high density that was coming in there. So it helps towards the whole, and rather than kind of piecemealing things when this or that developer is not ready to actually do a chunk of their project, it may be easier for them to contribute to the 1%. I mean, it's just.
So staff maybe providing a
Kevin, I think,
presentation.
knows that, whatever, so.
So maybe staff facilitating a discussion on
Yeah.
the public benefit, similar to the 1% program in San Francisco.
Something like
And then
that.
you discussing, okay. I think, Ruben, do you have questions on that?
Yeah, well, I think we would need a second from another commissioner, but
Okay.
also before we do that, it's Jen, do you know if it's 1% of what? Of the project?
Oh, of the
valuation,
project,
the-
of the project cost, I think it is. But I actually, you know what? I don't even know. So I think Kevin lives in San Francisco, right? I think they've had it for decades, I think, and many communities have it. So I cannot say. Everyone calls it the 1% program, but honestly, I don't know. Richard Toronis would probably know. So, and probably some of the big developers, maybe the one we just spoke with knows what that is, but I'm just putting out there.
Okay. All right. So I think we would need a second if we want to put that on a future agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Well, we'll work on something on staff's end. It won't be at the next meeting, but we'll look at a future agenda. And
I don't want to give you a whole bunch of projects to do. I know how busy you are. It's just sort of, since it was discussed years ago here, I feel like the time has come with our high density projects. We need to look at it again.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Just a reminder also that we have an extra week in between meetings. So we will next agenda is on November 14th. So 3 weeks from now. We have an extra week.
Wow.
Yeah. Which sometimes means that a lot of projects end up getting on that agenda. So. But staff is looking at agendas in terms of major projects. So if we see, some major projects coming, we look at that agenda to try to lighten it up so it doesn't get too heavy. Of course, we don't always know how the discussions will go, but we certainly take that in mind.
Okay.
All right.
Is that everything then?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
And I am
Thank
going to adjourn the meeting at 9:37. Thank you all.
Happy
And-
Halloween.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys on the 14th.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.